Greetings to our audience. I am Talibita Moses. I am a PhD candidate from Nkumba University, together with
Denis Ochan Odong, also a PhD candidate from Nkumba University, here to present to you leveraging on AfCFTA to promote intra-Africa tourism.
Thank you very much. The AfCFTA is a trade agreement between the 55 member states of the African Union. It aims to create a single market for goods and services on the African continent and to promote economic integration and development. The AfCFTA came into effect in 2021 and is still in its early stages of implementation. It has the potential to transform the African economy, including the wildlife tourism sector,
into Africa's biggest, as we all know that tourism, and especially wildlife tourism globally, contributes not only to preserving wildlife, but also generating billions of shillings and dollars to different countries and nations. However, the industry is facing challenges, including poaching, habitat loss, and most significantly of recent is climate change. However, AfCFTA provides an opportunity to address these challenges and promote intra-Africa wildlife tourism. The AfCFTA and the protocols therein actually Africa can leverage off and benefit wildlife tourism in a number of ways. Reducing the trade barriers, boosting economic growth, promoting cooperation and collaboration. And this in itself, we see countries opening up their borders because most countries in Africa have shared resources which are cross-border, and the barriers that are opened help to navigate through all the elements that have been hindering the progress of tourism, and especially wildlife tourism on the African continent. And in doing so, you find that local enterprise, local economies are actually promoted and uplifted on the African continent. And block by block, then before you know it, you have a wholesome contribution to the African continent. Then collaboration and promotion of cooperation is seen as an element that actually has leveraged of the different interests in Africa, but then AfCFTA is seen to promote this further.
There are a number of things that African countries can do to leverage on the AfCFTA to promote intra-Africa wildlife tourism. One of them is the development of joint tourism products and packages, because in so doing, countries that are not fully infrastructurally developed can tap into or utilize those opportunities. One of these kind of opportunities is how the East African community is going to host the AFCON, where Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania will co-host the same for sports. The second is promoting cross-border tourism, the case being the Bwindi Impenetrable, which is shared by Uganda, Burundi, and Kenya, rather Rwanda,
DRC.
or DRC, and these are cross-border. And of course, when they package the same, considering that DRC, Rwanda, Burundi speak French, and on this side, Uganda speaks English. The third is marketing African wildlife tourism to other African countries. And the fourth is investing in tourism infrastructure and marketing, which of course will support the same. The music industry is one of those kind where Africa can leverage from the same. In addition to these economic benefits, the AfCFTA also has the potential to promote the sustainable development of intra-Africa wildlife tourism, and the AfCFTA includes a number of provisions that relate to the environment and sustainable development. For example, Article 24 of the AfCFTA states that member states shall cooperate on the protection of the environment and the promotion of sustainable development according to the African Union's publication in 2018. The AfCFTA also includes a number of provisions that can be used to promote the conservation of wildlife and the protection of wildlife habitats. For example, Article 27 of the AfCFTA states that member states shall cooperate on the conservation of natural resources and the protection of biodiversity, according to the African Union in its publication of 2018. The legal purview of the AfCFTA provides a strong foundation for promoting intra-Africa wildlife tourism in a sustainable manner. The AfCFTA member states can use the provisions of the agreement to reduce trade barriers, boost economic growth, promote cooperation and collaboration, and conserve wildlife and their habitats. Specific examples of how the AfCFTA provisions can be used to promote intra-African wildlife tourism.
Developing a joint tourism products and packages to promote intra-Africa wildlife tourism. Now, the joint products that are developed within the region, for example, Uganda, the East African bloc, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and of recent we have DRC and South Sudan coming on board. So when we develop products that cut across borders because of the diversity of flora and fauna that is within the region, you find that this is only going to be necessitated by the provisions of AfCFTA. AfCFTA and its provisions help to bridge the gaps, eliminate trade barriers, ease on movement of people and goods across these different borders. And before you know it, Africa as a bloc is going to benefit from wildlife tourism development. Then to add on to that, when member states can use the provisions of AfCFTA to market African wildlife tourism to other African countries and beyond, because the consumers of Africa wildlife actually cut across from Africa to other countries. But in promoting that, AfCFTA has the leeway, or AfCFTA has the provisions that give countries the benefit to leverage off the treaties that have been signed, the different sub-treaties within the major treaty of AfCFTA, to help them market Africa as a single bloc, not as independent, fragmented countries. Then, in addition to that, there's been, member states can use the provisions of AfCFTA to promote cross-border tourism. For example, member states could simplify visa procedures and make it easier for tourists to travel between countries. They could also invest in infrastructure that supports cross-border tourism, such as roads, airports, and border crossings. Examples in question: Uganda and DR Congo signed trade agreements where Uganda is going to go to DR Congo to construct roads for ease of trade between the two countries. And also the East African community has just signed a pact which is going to allow for construction of highways that link the entire region together. But then this is going to be necessitated and supported by the different provisions of AfCFTA. Also, member states can use the provisions of AfCFTA to invest in tourism, infrastructure, and marketing. Like earlier said, member states could invest in building new hotels and lodges in areas where wildlife tourism has greatest potential. Take an example still in the East African region, where you find there's great wildlife diversity in Rwanda, DR Congo, and Uganda. And that particular point has the endangered mountain gorillas. So that means that if we leverage on AfCFTA, we can actually see that these rare species are actually conserved for the benefit of all the countries in that region.
By taking advantage of the legal purview of the AfCFTA, member states can work together to promote intra-Africa wildlife tourism in a sustainable and equitable manner. This will help to create jobs for the bulk of unemployed youth, boost economic growth, and conserve Africa's richest wildlife heritage.
We thank you for listening to us, and we believe that AfCFTA can actually borrow a leaf from other continental bodies. Take an example of NAFTA in America, where different countries in that region there are benefiting from NAFTA. So here also in Africa, we think that AfCFTA can also turn around different economies that have been plagued by problems. We know that tourism changes economies, changes perceptions, changes how other countries view those particular countries. And tourism, above all, promotes brotherhood. And we think that AfCFTA can actually be a tool that can be used to propel wildlife conservation, but above all, to propel wildlife tourism. Thank you.